Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tales Off the Holotables, the only Galaxy of Heroes show where you'll rarely learn anything worth a damn about the game itself, but everything about the players that enjoy it and the creators that support it. Today I'm joined by Scrybe of Scrybe Gaming, who somehow finds time to cover Raids, Conquest, GAC, Galactic Challenges, roster reviews, Age of Origins for whatever reason, and has his own podcast, Tribe Talks. Scribe, one, how the hell are you doing? And two, did I miss anything?
Well, I mean, not really. No, you did manage to capture the gamut of it. There's the side of things that, most viewers don't really like. They're probably aware of it, but they don't think about it. But part of being a content creator and doing stuff is all the other stuff like replying to comments and chatting people with Discord and, this sort of thing, collabing. So yeah, you got everything, but also the hours and hours worth of thumbnail editing, video editing, and chatting to people online. It's a wonderful, wonderful world. How you doing, Egnards? You all right, mate?
I'm doing all right. Our time difference is a little bit wonky, right? So you're in the UK. You're about 5 hours off of me. It's 10 in the morning. Normally, I have a whiskey. Normally, I have some kind of craft beer going. I'm a classy bitch today. I'm doing a mimosa just because I don't want people thinking I'm too much of an alcoholic.
I struggle with that same perception all the time. It's got nothing to do with consuming far too much alcohol on live streams, I'm sure. No. But hey, a mimosa, you're getting fancy, you're going a little bit European there, right? Was it Italian?
It's a Sunday morning. I'm basically a white girl in my 20s, right? So, why not?
And you're getting one of your 5 a day. So,
absolutely.
Well, maybe half of your 5 a day, I'm not sure.
That's the problem because I haven't eaten a damn thing. We did brunch with Egnards earlier this morning, starting at 7. I'm popping right into this. We'll see what happens.
You're just breaking all kinds of social conventions here, aren't you? You're like, brunch at 7 in the morning, baby. Let's do it.
We're going crazy. I live in New Jersey. We're like right on the New York border. There's like plenty of pizzerias. There's great stuff here. I'm probably going to order like Domino's later because I don't know. I'm not going to make good decisions. No. It's fine.
Sundays aren't made for good decisions, I feel.
It really isn't. So the first thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to go out of order of what's going on in my head just because you had kind of mentioned it already. I own a business, I work a job. I find that I only have time to stream on like Sunday mornings, especially being married. I know that you're married as well. And I don't even do my own like thumbnails. I have a guy, Moonborn, who's amazing at it.
Sick.
Where do you find the time to do all of the content that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean that's the real business, right? Because I don't own my own business, but I do work full time. I couldn't possibly support myself just through content creation unless I decided to take some rather severe and harsh lifestyle cuts, such as maybe living on the street or something like that, a cardboard box. And Smudgy, one of my cats, he's got a voracious appetite, so I've got to keep him well fed. So yeah, there's the 9 to 5 job. That obviously takes up 40 hours of my week right off the bat. I call her Mrs. Scribble, but we're not married just yet. It's probably happening sometime soon, but she is my partner and she is incredibly supportive of everything that I do. So I somehow try to find the time to stream about 3 hours, 4 or 5 days a week in the evening. So that's like, I'll finish my job, I'll go downstairs, I'll make dinner, because I'm the chef of the house. I'm not great. And then we'll wolf down dinner, we'll sit down, we'll have a chat, and then I go straight upstairs and I start streaming for, 7:30, 8 o'clock until about 11 p.m. And then I crash and go to bed. And that's without doing a video. If I've got to get a video in, I've got to try and fit that in somewhere. And that's tricky. That's very tricky. Time is it's the hardest part of it. I do not have spare time. So when people come up to me and they say, oh, you haven't watched Andor yet. I'm like, I don't have time to sit down and watch a 45-minute episode and do that however many episodes there are, 15 episodes, I'm not sure. I mean, I'd love to, but I feel like I need an extra 4 hours in each day as it is.
That would be great, right? It's the same thing. I know that everybody's saying they hate The Acolyte and it's bad. And I've watched a little bit of it, but I just don't have the time. I don't have that hour to sit down and go, I'm going to watch this. And maybe I will tonight because my wife is out for a few days, but I don't understand I guess when I was younger, I did the same thing, but I find it hard knowing that a lot of my audience is the same age as me, if not older, where people are
Yeah.
watching it like 3 hours after it airs or like right as it airs. Like, where,
Yeah.
what are you doing with your day that you're able to do that consistently?
It's real tricky. It's real. I did actually manage to watch all of the Acolyte, but I felt like the episodes were a little bit shorter. I think they're only like 30 minutes long or
They
35
they
minutes
were
long.
quicker.
So it's a little bit easier to get that in because I could do it like on my lunch break. I could have my lunch. I work from home. So
Okay.
this is my stream setup. Just here to the left, which you can't really see, is my office where I do all my day job, right? So at my lunch break, I've got an hour for lunch. I can go downstairs, I'll make myself something quick, and I can sit down and watch a half-hour show. And that's how I did it with Acolyte. So it was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. But like I didn't have the time when Andor was streaming, and I'm pretty sure Andor is like 45 minutes to an hour long,
They
and
are
I
much
can't
longer.
really fit that in at the moment. But yeah, no, I completely understand, man. Like it's weird when you think about it, because I do it to myself, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure you feel the same. Nothing is holding a gun to our heads to say, hey, you've got to do all this content creation, you've got to do all this streaming. It's kind of a thing that you do because you really enjoy it, or you want to make something of it, or you've just done it so long now that it's just part of your life. And I don't want to give that up because I really love it. So it's sacrifices sometimes have to be made, I guess.
That's, I mean, for me, I look back and I was mostly text for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I'd always like type in like I'd never do video, never, it'll never happen. You'll never see an Egnards video, and then somehow it just kind of evolved that here we are today, right? And I'm like I have the brunch we did. I'm doing this with you now. I have something that I'm doing right after this as well, and then it's like an all day commitment to get anything done. And I don't do a lot of editing, but even just compiling the video and
Oh yeah.
sharpening up little things, like it's gonna take my entire Sunday to get everything done.
For sure. For sure. Like one of the things I've learned, because I've been doing it for 4 years now, and I'm not saying I'm a pro at it or anything like that, but it's almost like when you're recording your video, you have to, for me, trying to record the video in a way that allows me to edit as little as possible
Yeah.
was the thing, right? So I do a little bit of video editing now, but it's usually just to trim out the silence. You know,
Yes.
the ums and the ahs, or when you're changing from a character to selection to actually running the battle. I'll introduce small cuts there just to speed up the pace of the video because don't get people getting bored, you know? But even doing that, even doing very mild amounts of editing, still takes, depending on the length of the video, 5 minutes to half an hour's time. And then you've got to encode the video. And then after it's encoded, you've got to upload it, and you've got to make a thumbnail, and then you've got to get timestamps and stuff like that. So people often look at it and they think, it's a 10-minute video. That's 10 minutes worth of work. It's like,
Yeah.
hell no. Like, that's like an
Yes,
hour and
yeah.
a half worth of work for one short video.
So I don't do any editing, but I do like to do things in one take. So like a 10-minute video might take me an hour and a half of just like, I did 8 minutes of it and oh shit, like I completely fumbled something. Let's just restart from the beginning. Let's do this
Yep.
completely over again. And I've done ones that were like a half hour long, like conquest guides, where 22 minutes in, there was just something so bad that I'm like, no, we gotta restart this whole thing. And people see that 25, 30-minute video and they're like, oh yeah, this is quick. And they don't see that I woke up at 5 in the morning and I got done at like 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yep, for sure. I mean, a couple of times, I know we were speaking about it before this started, but there are a couple of streaming software platforms that you can use to do this sort of thing, right? To record your videos and to go live. But there's been several occasions where I've recorded a relatively long video on Streamlabs when I was using Streamlabs, and it might be like 20, 30 minutes long. And at about minute 25, I get a pop-up saying, boom, you've run out of disk space. And it will corrupt the entire video. So
God.
all of that recording is now useless. You've got to redo all of it as well as clean up your drive space. And I've just gone, I
Yeah.
have to do it all again. Oh my God. And that's very painful. That's
That
very
actually
painful.
that reminds me to look at my disk space after this to make sure, because I bought this for work. This computer, it was bought and paid for by my business. It was a tax
Nice.
write off, and I still use it for that. But I didn't
Yeah.
think about disk space because I didn't need it. I didn't think about like streaming because I didn't need it. I needed Zoom.
Yeah.
So now looking into like PCs and everything, I'm like, all right, I have to make sure I have a good hard drive. I have to make sure that I have like a good graphics processor so that I can run, you can't see it, but I have like another monitor behind this. So I can run this and I can run that and I can run all these different things at the same time. But now that we've bored everybody with like the back end of content creation, something that was brought up to me maybe a couple days ago. I was asking around and I was like, I've seen Scrybe videos. If I watch anything, I watch it on mute because I'm usually in bed. My wife's sleeping. I'm a morning person. She's not. So I'm like, let me get a vibe check. And what I had heard as like the consensus is that you're like if Bit Dynasty meets Arnold. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's better than when I was called, Bit Dynasty from Wish. No, I'm not. No, I think that's about right. Bit Dynasty is a lovely bloke. I've spoken with him a couple of times. Really nice guy, really, really knowledgeable, really hardworking as well. He's got his whole Swigger for Life setup that he's got there, and his vibe is very much a case of he's just that bloke that is smart, intelligent, plays the game, and just wants to figure stuff out, and that's it. Right? He's not there to be, like you said, the opposite of the spectrum would probably be someone like Arnold, who is like quite out there, bombastic, sort of entertaining to the max. Almost more is on the side of the entertainment than it is around adding value. And that's not to say Arnold doesn't add value. Of course he does. But like, it's not the angle he goes for. And I think I probably do land somewhere in the middle. I'm not the smartest Galaxy of Heroes player. I hold my hands fully up. I make plenty of mistakes and misunderstand kits and all this sort of business. But I'm not dumb either. And in the same vein, I'm not like the most entertaining guys. Plenty of people call me boring or like they just don't like the way I sound or whatever. But I like to try and find that balance somewhere in the middle. I think that's kind of my spot that I feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'd
say that's okay.
I hear on Discord all the time, and again, I've spoken to Arnold a few times, and the entertainment value is there. And when you talk about bringing value to the game, it brings people into the game. And I've heard from other people that they've taken extended breaks from the game, and they'll still watch him, and that keeps them invested. And so there is value there. But you do hear a lot of people saying, I just want to get to the root. And that's where guys like yourself can be funny and engaging and make jokes, but you can also have something. I don't want to say intelligent to say because he does say intelligent things too.
Of course,
but,
it is. Yeah.
In a more concise way.
Yeah, and I'd say there's that. When I try to do stuff like Galactic Challenge videos and stuff like that, that's recurring content for me. Obviously, Bit Dynasty does it as well. I sometimes occasionally go and see him. Like, there's always a little bit of like morbid curiosity when I do a GC video because I'll do it and I try to get it done right before I start my work shift in the morning because it kicks off at 8 a.m. for me. So I'm like, I got to start work at 9. Let's see if we can get the Galactic Challenge video done, recorded, uploaded before I start work. That's my goal usually. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But every time I release it, I'm always a little bit like, I wonder how Bit solved this problem. I'm just going to go and check out and see what he did. So, but I when I'm doing them, it's usually a case of I'm just trying to find the most accessible characters to use and trying to get the feats done as quickly as possible for people. So I don't tend to try and throw out, just use your Relic 9 Galactic Legend, guys, go, it's easy. Because that's not useful to most people, So I try to find teams that most players will have if they're in the mid-game and push that out so that they can immediately see. And then, of course, I'll put in, timestamps so people can jump to the feat or the section that they want to try and get it done. I can never always please everybody because A, there's too many characters in the game, and B, I can't know what everybody's roster depth is.
Yeah.
Well, and there's always going to be someone who's like, I don't have it.
You do like roster reviews too. I do them every week, and you see, like, I'm sure you have your own ROI path that you work on and you're like, hey, this is my way of doing things. And I just have this assumption in my head that everybody does things that same way. But there are people, my account is 90% efficiency, like 10% fun. And there are people that are completely the opposite. They're like, screw this guy who's great, fuck Jabba, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going for Lord Vader. You know,
Yeah.
you'll never know.
Or they'll have Relic Ewoks, and you're like,
Yes. Well, I
but
have that guy in my guild. I have the guy. There's a guy, Fire Marshal, who is on Reddit who has Relic 9
okay.
Jawas, just because.
Oh my days.
And another guy who did Relic 9 Geos, just because like that's fun.
Yeah. Why not? Why
I
not?
committed
I
to
mean,
Relic 9 Gungans before they were like, oh, you're gonna definitely have them, you know, just because.
that's actually a decent payoff, though. I mean, you know,
Well, now it
'cause
is.
they're a solid team, right? They're a solid
They
team,
are.
and now
They
you can
are.
do Relic 9 raid probably on full order. Just
But
like,
that was gonna happen no matter what, right? Like I
yeah,
was
for
gonna
sure.
do the Gungans. Didn't matter. They could have been. I actually am mad that they're so good because
Like,
it's.
I wanted trash Gungans, damn it.
Well, I wanted to be one of like a dozen people that had them at Relic now 9, and I'm like, well, now everybody
Yeah.
fucking has them. Like, what is this shit?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not
That
as
actually
special.
reminds me, that's a throwback to one of my all-time favorite content creators for Galaxy of Heroes was Urs, right?
Yeah.
Urs was more similar to Arnold in the vein of Urs was all about the entertainment. You know, you don't tend to go to Urs for latest counters or how to, you know, do well in conquest feats. You go to him because he's just damn entertaining. He's just fun to watch if that's your sort of shtick. I know not everybody loves that sort of level of loudness and maybe a little bit vulgar. Right up my street. I loved it. But he used to do all sorts of weird stuff, like, you know, have High Relic Cup when nobody used
Yeah.
Cup and Resistance Trooper. And I remember he got really pissed off when CG started releasing Galactic Legends and there would be characters in there that were just trashed here. It was like, this ruins it for me because I was the guy with the Relic Resistance Trooper, or Major Tom, as he always used to call it. And now everybody's going to have it because everybody's pushing for a Galactic Legend. It felt like he lost some of that, you know,
That magic.
uniqueness of his streams, right? So I feel it. Yeah, I can get that vibe.
I get that with Gungans. I 100%. But now, so Naboo, right? It's out. You've done
Yeah.
plenty of content about it. I've talked about it a little bit. I try to like not. I don't want to say not step on people's toes, but I know my niche, and my niche is get on Sunday mornings, drink a couple drinks, and chat with people, and talk about ROI and all of that other stuff. So I don't do that much.
Yep.
There's nothing. I feel like every stone is unturned. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but if you were in charge, let's say you had the choice to make literally just one change. That's it. One change to it to still make CG buttloads of money. So you'll get a bonus at the end of the year, right? If it does really well, you care about the monetization, but also make it a little bit more player friendly. What's that single change for you? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's a very good thought. I mean, I did a video recently talking about the new raid, as you said. Obviously, I've covered off all the teams and stuff like that, all the teams that I use at least. And I certainly do take the same route of efficiency here. I'll be the last person to recommend anybody starts relegating their Luminara. It's not going to happen, not from me. But one of the things that I brought up in this new raid is the thing that frustrates people the most about the raid when it comes to player enjoyment is that the raid itself has got too much RNG, so it takes up too much time. Nobody wants to be sat there playing that raid for 3 hours, even if it was fun. And I think the raid can be fun, but the RNG elements that are involved that cause people to never hit that max score and constantly restart and go over and over and over and over again is the fact that they get very frustrated with the fact that things outside of their control are ruining their runs. So you look at teams like the Queen Amidala Trio, which of course I did a video on how to get the max score with that. It's completely replicable. You know, anybody can do it with the right mod set and the right approach. Do you get the RNG involved to let that happen? Maybe 1 in every 10 attempts, and a run takes 6 to 10 minutes long. So you could spend hours doing one team. So the thing that I would address is the RNG element. Now, one of the things I spoke about in my recommendations for changes for that particular raid is to change the disrupt communications fleet ability. So you go up into space, you blow up the antenna
droid
dish
ship.
on the trade ship, right? And that removes the special ability of the command droid for that wave. Completely removes it. It's like, oh, that's useful to have. In my mind, from a practical example, if you destroy that communications tower is gone. It's done. So why not change that ability to be permanent for the rest of the raid?
Yeah.
You get rid of the Commander Droid special ability. That will get rid of a large element of the RNG, and it would give players the feeling like, as they're progressing in the raid, that they're gaining momentum. They're getting stronger as the battle goes on. Sure, more waves of enemies are coming in, so it feels like momentum is building from both sides. You know, they're sending more units at you, but also you are slowly dismantling their abilities, their
From the top.
capabilities on the battlefield, right? So for me, it would be change that to be permanent for the rest of the raid. And then if you used it on somebody on the command droid that had the charge modifier, which gives them the bonus turns, which is the thing that really does screw everybody up mostly, because it's so unreliable, right? If the command droid might get the bonus turn and he'll immediately dispel all your buffs, and then your team can no longer do AoE true damage, or Obi-Wan can't one-shot the entire field. So if they made it permanent for the rest of the battle, but maybe said you could only use that from wave 6 instead of wave 3, then it still makes it a little bit difficult. But once you get to wave 6, if you have invested in those teams and you've invested in those mods and you've understood the strategy, it rewards the player. It's like, okay, you've done good. Now we're going to give you a permanent buff for the rest of the raid. And I think it would mean everybody would do a one-tap of the raid. They've already invested in the teams, so they know, you know, we've already spent the money that we're going to spend, and they're not going to be so annoyed. That would probably be the one change that I would do. I know a load of people in my chat section, in my comment section of that video, said, after you've done it 3 times, let everybody sim the raid for that score.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I understand that approach, right? That would be great. You'd save so much time. But from CG's perspective, they're never going to let us sim raid battles like that, even if you've already spent the money. They want to see people playing the raid that they've just spent a year building. So I can't, you know, I would be okay with it because it would save everybody a ton of time, but I just can't see CG doing it.
No, and I think that there's that frustration aspect too, right? So like,
Yep.
I use the 3-man Maul, Sidious, Newt team, but just for time's sake, I don't do a lot of resets. I don't care. I don't have the time to.
Yep.
So I have them all R7, but I use them on the R5 tier just to get the 1.2, and that's pretty reliable because the R7 tier, like there's a lot of RNG, whether you get this, whether you get that. Sometimes you get 1.3, sometimes you get 1.8. There's that frustration aspect of, hey, if we piss people off enough, maybe they'll take those R7 guys to R8 just to get a higher score, right? So that you have a little bit more of that that investment.
Yeah, but it's like you said, you know, you're using that example. I just take it in the lower level. It's not always true. Like at R8, the Maul team struggles a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because of the elevated stats, because they get extra crit avoidance, you're not critting as often, because they've got extra health, and because they've got extra damage. It's like, so even when you make that investment, taking it to Relic 8 or take it to Relic 9, there are no guarantees that you'll actually have an easier time. All you're guaranteeing is that you have the potential to score better. So it feels very frustrating, I think, from the player's standpoint, to think that, well, shit, I just spent a whole bunch of signal data and relic materials taking this team up, and I don't like this team. I didn't want to have an R8 B2. I didn't want to have an R8 stat, but I've done it, and now I'm doing it, and I'm not happy about it. I'm annoyed because I still have to spend an hour doing it, you know?
So my whole idea, I think, is raids on its own, not this raid itself. Yep. And I haven't put this in video form in any way, but this is gonna kind of segue into other things as well. Is kind of only forcing us to do one team per raid. So let's take Naboo for example, right? And I use my Gungans, my R9 Gungans. I can take my other teams and kind of put them in the background of my Naboo Gungans in order to multiply my score, so that I only have to run one team, but I still have to bring other characters up to relics in order to get that. And now that would give me like an 8-minute engagement, right? Because Gungans, they take about 8 minutes. They win like 50% of the time. On guided auto, they win 100% of the time. But that would also, I think, open up the design space where they could say, you know what, we want it to be a 20-minute raid run or a 15-minute raid run, because now you only have to run one team, and you're not going to be pissed off by like, oh, I have to run 5 fucking teams through a 20-minute piece, and it might open up the design space to do more of those interesting things, or like buffs and momentum moving forward, and bringing in like the AAT, right, like the tank into it, and doing whatever else.
Sure. Sure. So almost takes the approach of almost like territory battles, almost like the rest of your roster of teams that you're going to be using in the raid become operations or platoons that are
To
going to
some
give you
extent.
benefits, or a multiplier in this case.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, I'm behind it. Yeah, why not? Why not?
It'll never happen, but that's my golden goose when it comes to raids, and I would
Yeah.
be less mad about having to restart with RNG, knowing that I only
Mm.
have to complete with one team. Like, all right, I
Yeah.
just got to get through this one thing, and then I'm good. So Naboo, what, it came out about a month ago, just under a month
Yeah.
ago. We know that these raids, they go about 6-7 months. We have the culmination with the Ahsoka content with Balin's Skull coming out. There's really no room in
Mm.
the upcoming 6 months for them to release anything really outside of that. So I'm
Yep.
thinking February we're probably getting Ahsoka content raid. Is that like, have you
Hmm.
thought about that yet, or?
We discussed this actually on one of my streams not so long ago about next raid.
Okay.
And I think CG said it'll be about every 9 months for a raid cadence, not six. But
Well,
I think
so
this one came out like 8 months afterwards or 7 months afterwards, right?
crate to speeder was about,
Yeah.
I don't know the exacts. I did the exacts about a month ago. I think crate to
Yeah.
speeder was exactly 7 months, and
Okay.
speeder to Naboo was 6.5 months.
God, that's not a lot of time, is it?
It's not a
Like,
lot of time,
holy hell. So yeah,
right?
they certainly could do. I one of the ideas that I had on my stream was around this very sort of thing. I thought that it might be a little bit too early for that, but then I thought, hold on, we're most likely, this is not confirmed by any stretch of the imagination, but it just makes sense. We're most likely, after GL Ahsoka drops, we're probably going to get Thrawn content, as in
Yes,
Thrawn as a galactic legend, right?
absolutely.
It just kind of makes sense. After Ahsoka, you get Thrawn, even though there's not really much difference in Thrawn's appearance or anything like that, they could do it. They could do it. And I was thinking it would be really cool if they did an Escape from Peridia raid where you actually play as Thrawn and you have to hold off Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra from charging and stopping you from taking off, right?
Yeah.
So I like the whole aim of the game is to try and get the hyperdrive ready, get all of the was it the Night Sisters? I can't
It
remember what they were
was.
doing in the show. They were getting all the graves on the ship before they could take off because they wanted to the Great Mothers wanted to repopulate Dathomir and bring it back to life and all that sort of business, right? At least I think that was the idea behind that alliance, was that Thrawn gets to go back, he gets to try and be the heir to the Empire, and the Night Sisters get to rebuild Dathomir. So I thought it would be really cool if, for the first time ever, we get a dark side raid, as it were. You play as the dark
Yeah.
side characters. You're trying to actually win. And I thought that would be kind of cool. You've just got to try and build up an ultimate and let it go. Whether or not it happens around February time, it could, I suppose. It could happen. I just think that February might be maybe when we'll probably start seeing stuff for GL Thrawn rather than when it actually drops. I was thinking maybe instead of February, it might be May, but it could happen. It could happen. They could just use Ahsoka content for it.
Are you thinking
Both.
GL Thrawn before? Because my thought is that
Mm.
once we finish, when we talk about timelines again, like you said, it's
Mm-hmm.
unconfirmed, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking GL Ahsoka sometime around mid-November to December. It seems like they're
Yep.
pushing her out a
Yep.
little bit and intertwining.
Mm-hmm.
And that falls in line with like Jabba, who came out about a month to a month and a half before his raid. That falls in line with Leia, the same thing with the speeder bike. It falls in line with Gungans, which was just about a month. So my
Yeah.
thinking is that once that's all done, we're probably going to get like a fleet meta shift. Do you think that they might do the GL that early into the cycle? Not to,
I mean, the whole the new ship is kind of overdue, almost kind of overdue. I would say we tend to have one new meta-defining galactic ship. I hate when people call them GL ships. They're not GL ships. If you go into the GL tab in the journey guide, do you see
Not
any
GLs.
ships in there? No, you don't. They're legendary ships. They just feel like the galactic legend equivalent. So it feels like I don't think they've got time this year to release a fleet. I know.
well, that's why I'm
there's been a
thinking
date in mind
January,
with-
February is when they
Yeah.
Q1 of next year.
For sure, for sure. because that gives enough time. I'm thinking it's like you said, sort of mid to late November, early December is probably when GL Ahsoka drops. And I think most likely after that, right before Christmas, maybe before, but probably after that. Actually, no, it might be before. We'll get Balin's Skull, right, as the next epic confrontation. So it feels like they can't fit anything else in between now and the rest of the year. They've got a full slate, as it were. So yes, I do think that the ship should come first, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a ship and Galactic Legend content releasing at the same time.
Really to like push
leading
us
into Thrawn.
So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they did it with the was it the Profundity? I can't remember. Something came out basically simultaneously.
I think it was Jabba Profundity was fairly close.
Yeah. They were like a month apart or something like that. And they've done it in the past with like when Chewbacca released as a legendary character and then we immediately got Malak or something like that. I can't remember.
You know what? I was not as hardcore as I was at that time. So when Chewbacca came out, I was like, I'll get him in 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah. It was early days for me as well. I definitely missed Chewbacca the first time, but that was a blessing because I had a good friend. His name's Danny. He was unlocking him day one. And that Chewbacca unlock event, back then, before relics were a thing, before you had OG Mando, no grief.
Yeah.
That was a hard unlock, dude. That was so frustrating. And it had a real long, like, 15 to 20-second intro that you had to watch every single time. So he was fuming trying to unlock Chewie first time round. I was lucky because I did it with, like, Gear 11 Grief and OG Mando because they completely changed everything. It made it such an easy cakewalk. But, yeah, they're not against... I'm doing this in a real roundabout way. They're not against pinching us and trying to make us push for two things at the same time. They're doing it already, right? Balin's Skull and GL Ahsoka. We're already feeling that pinch. That's two teams that's going to require a heavy relic investment and brand new marquees in order to unlock. So I think they're trying to push that as much as possible, and I see it with a new fleet and GL Thrawn early-ish next year. Maybe not exactly the same time, maybe a month or two between them, but it's going to be pushing people's abilities to hoard, pushing whales' ability to reach into their pocket and swipe that credit card.
My signal data it's gone right now. I have nothing. And that's never the case, but that's one part. The new content that's coming up, and I don't whale on the new marquees. I'll wait for them to become farmable, so I'll typically get a GL like 2 months after they come out. But I do bring them up to G11. I'm still getting the Lover Boys up to like Relic 9, right? For the Duel of the Fates, so like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Totally worth it, 100%.
It is, 100%. But I'm also like with my guild and territory battles, I'm always that person that's like, all right, I guess I'll take this guy to fucking R9 because we need it for operations. So I have nothing. I have literally nothing right now.
I'm in the exact same boat now. I do whale on these new marquees. However, I'll preface that by saying, as long as the marquees are the same they have been since Gungan's released, where we're getting those bonus shards throughout the week, I will probably continue to whale because my appetite for spending money in this particular format is I don't mind spending 130, 150 bucks to get a 7-star brand new character. I do mind spending 300 to 350. That's outside of my wheelhouse. I'm like, no. I got no appetite to spend that much money on a brand new marquee. Certainly not 6 of them. It's just not going to happen. But in this format, I will do it. And obviously, for me, as a content creator, it's a little bit different to the average player, right? Because if I wasn't doing videos and streaming and earning money from doing this sort of thing, there's no way in hell I would be spending hundreds of pounds on a free-to-play mobile game. It just wouldn't happen. And that's how I played for 3 years when I played this game. I never spent any money until I was streaming, and then people were encouraging me to spend and donating and stuff like that. And that's what changed my approach, right? So I appreciate most people won't.
It's
and that's
funny that for me, it's like the opposite. I was never a big spender. I was never a whale, but I'd spend like $20 here and there. And then as I became more, prevalent or more... people were more aware of me, and as I was becoming more efficient in the game and like getting towards the end, I'm like, I don't have a reason to spend anymore. I don't need to anymore. So I think I've spent. I bought a crystal, that 40% crystal thing earlier in the year, and I bought one of those $2 Cantina packs this year. I haven't.
Oh yeah, that was huge. The what was it called? Like the
They were like
something
Ascension.
escalation,
Yeah,
Ascension
yeah.
packs. That first round of Ascension packs was fucking gold. Like I got like what 1,000 Cantina energy and 1,600 mod energy. I was like, oh my god,
For
for
like
like a
nothing.
tenner.
Yeah.
I
They
was
were
like,
nice.
hell yes, they were beautiful. I would buy that twice. Yeah, no, that was really, really freaking good. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. It gets easier to stay on top of things when you're at the end game point, right?
Yes.
When you're not having to gear up everything and Zeta everything and relic everything. It's a lot easier for me. I'm just below 12 million GP now. To new character comes out, I'm just like, yeah, let's just gear them all the way up.
Yes.
That's okay. But as far as signal data, I'm in the same boat right now because obviously did all the Gungans, got them all up to R8 minimum and Jar Jar's R9, and then Padawan, Obi-Wan, Master Qui-Gon Jinn came out. I took them to R9, and then Queen Amidala to R9. That was real. And I want to be clear, I don't wail on signal data or
Yeah.
gear to keypads. I only wail on literally the characters. So I have to still farm everything else. And I suppose if you count like conquest battle passes as whaling as well, it is in the technical sense, right? You're spending money. That's basically where all my money goes. The only thing I've bought recently was the recent buy one get one free crystal pack. I think it was $20 for 2,800 crystals, but you get it twice, so it's 5,600 crystals for $20. I was like, that's really good value. Like, I'm buying that.
If
like,
I weren't currently mad at CG over the Duel of the Fates debacle, because with the 7-day thing that they did, they're like, oh, this is gonna be 7 days, and then it released, right? So I spent like 8,000 crystals. Once it became aware, they were like, oh, this does refresh. So I spent like 8,000 crystals and $2, and $2 is not a lot, but it's the principle.
Yeah, it is.
If I weren't mad at them over that, I would have definitely bought that pack 100%. It's actually the highest value crystal pack we've ever had. I think it's 280 crystals per dollar USD. I don't know how it converts to pounds. But so far, it's even better than the 40% increase that we got last time.
It's huge.
I'm a little annoyed that, like, in my brain, I'm like, I can't do that right now. I can't give them my money.
It's because you're a man of principles.
For now.
And they PP'd on your principles. So
they'll find a way to get me back. We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, they'll release a new Gungan or something.
Well, if they do, then I unlocked Gungans day one. Not to say I'm not free to play, obviously, but I didn't spend any money towards them. We did it with the streams. I was very dedicated. I started with like 60,000 crystals because I hoard my crystals. We made that shit work without spending any money. But that actually brings me to, I want to say, my last point on the game itself. I'd say like 3 days before they announced Gungans and before they announced Battle for Naboo, I did a Tales episode with Calvin Awesome, who's also a Jar Jar super fan.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So like 3 days beforehand, we were talking about Jar Jar, and we were talking about how he definitely has to come to the game in this next year. And we were talking about how the next raid has to be Battle for Naboo. So we predicted that, like, hands down. 3 days later, CG announced all this shit. So either Meathead is telling him stuff and I don't know about it, or we're fucking prophets.
Well, it kind of made sense with the Phantom Menace anniversary coming around. It's like, if they're ever going to do...
Give this to me. Just give this to me. Just say it was us.
Sorry, no. It was because Meathead, he told me, I speak to Meathead all the time. He said he was lurking. He was lurking around and he was watching your content. He was like, you know what? I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one to those guys. Let's do a 180. We're doing Gungans, boys.
Get this done right away. But the point is, I think it is safe to say that we're going to get a raid that has to do with Ahsoka Throne content. If you had to guess what's after that, what do you think? Hey, that's tough. I know, but we're going to come back to this in a year and we're going to be like, see, Scrybe was fucking right.
Yeah, okay. You don't want to hear it though, trust me.
It's all right. I'm not.
It's Acolyte content. I'm sorry.
So an Acolyte raid?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be raid.
So we're talking about raid. What do you think would be the next raid?
Actually, it might actually time out. It's going to time out, man. Like, if we're getting a new raid, maybe March, May, we're going to get it towards the end of the year. The end of the year will be about a year after the Acolyte released. They're going to start releasing marquees for the Acolyte. Not saying there'll be a Galactic Legend. It might be more like this, where we get a faction like Gungans as the featured faction for the raid. And they could drop something of, Acolyte levels. Now, is that going to be the fight at the end where you fight off against Khmer? Is it going to be the original battle with Sol infiltrating? Well, actually, spoilers, I guess, is what it would be. It could be early days where you're fighting off against the Force Cult of Witches. If we don't know, obviously we don't know, but CG are usually relatively predictable in how they release content. They can't, unless they're given like an ultimatum from Disney to say, you have to release this character, you have to release this team because we're pushing Bad Batch, for example. We got Bad Batch around the same time Bad Batch Season 1 came out. Unless Disney are forcing them to do something like that in that time frame, then they're not going to do it. It's going to take them a while to go through everything that they've already got planned. So a year is usually about where we expect it. Year and a half for content to replicate what we've seen in Star Wars media. The only big thing that's happened right now has been Acolyte. Yes, it's been very divisive inside of, Star Wars community opinions of it. There's people that's loved it, and there's a very large, vocal group of people that absolutely despise it. But from the viewership side, apparently it's the most watched show on Disney Plus of Star Wars content apart from Kenobi.
Oh, Bones is going to love that. Can't wait to tell him that later.
I mean, there's people that say they hate it, and I know that it's been review bombed to hell and back. But ultimately, it's a company, and companies can care about the bottom line, not about public perception so much. If it's a very profitable show, they're going to want to try and push that and capitalize on it.
So our goal right now, surprised. We come back a year from now, you're saying it's most likely some type of Acolyte raid. And they're not holding you to this. There's no money on the line. There's no gun to your head, right? It's just...
No. I mean, if you want to make a prediction, and we can up the stakes by adding a random R9. You can say, if I get it right, you R9 such and such character. If I get it right, you do such and such character. I'm happy to do that.
I wish we had come up with this I wish we came up with this like a week ago, because I would have sat there and really dealt with it. So next year, let's see, Phantom Menace came out this year, 20 years ago, right? Which means Attack of the Clones would be 2026, probably. Yeah, somewhere around there. Now, my timeline says raid around February, March. Yours says probably around May.
I'm thinking,
Fuck, man. Because I would think we would go back to the Geo Arena, and we'd go back to prequels. Just because I haven't seen all of Acolyte yet. But so far from what I've seen, there's nothing that I'm like, what can you do with this? And I think there's 3 or 4 more episodes left. I have no idea. I don't personally care about spoilers. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, sure.
I could see us doing something with the Geo Arena, but then that's Galactic Republic again, right? We've already done Galactic
and Separatist
Republic.
Again.
And Separatist again. Now, is there anything in Andor? Because we're doing a season 2 of Andor.
Yes, season 2 of Andor is coming out next year. I want to say.
I feel like we're going to get Andor content before we get Acolyte content. Okay. I'm thinking Andor themed.
All right, yeah,
I'm
fine.
thinking Andor themed.
So, if you do want to have a wager on this, we don't have to commit to what that particular character is, but you can have a think about it, and we'll get back and circle back. We just message directly about it. I'm happy to have a wager on it.
So we'll do that. We'll do an R9. I haven't seen your roster. I don't know your roster.
Yeah.
But we'll do an R9 versus Acolyte content versus Andor content for the raid after the next raid.
Yeah, seems fair. Okay. Why not?
All right.
A virtual handshake.
we'll cheers it and. But now, going off the game for a second, I've been again. We just got this new TV. I've never watched YouTube on a big TV, and I've watched your head on my big ass 70-inch TV over the last couple of days. And I was taking a couple of notes, and I messaged a friend about it, and I was like, I noticed that Scrybe has had 7 different beers over the course of the things that I've watched. And
Yep.
he's like, that's not something that I would notice. That's not something that I would pick
Yeah.
up on. And I was like, no, like I saw a Stella, I saw a Corona, I saw
Yep.
something that was like the back of the label and was definitely not those two things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're a beer guy,
I love beer. Yeah.
particular
Absolutely.
style.
Not really.
No.
I'm cosmopolitan when it comes to. It's a decent cocktail, but I'm cosmopolitan when it comes to the beer of choice. As long as it tastes nice, I'm happy. I've drunk every sort of, no, not every sort of beer. I've drunk German beer, I've drunk Spanish beer, and Italian beer, and British beer. As long as it goes down smooth, I really don't mind. I like a
Now,
bit of
are
everything. I love Guinness.
IPAs
Like
big in UK or no? Is
IPA,
that just
yeah. We get a lot of IPAs. We get a lot of IPAs over here. There's BrewDog does a lot of various types of IPAs. That's a very sort of famous
yes.
company and brand out here as well. I don't mind it. It really depends on the mood. Usually, when I'm in here and I'm streaming, this room gets very hot. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you have the same sort of thing when you stream.
I'm
room.
in my basement right now. I was relegated to my basement because my wife works from home.
Yeah, okay.
And my day job, I'm a teacher. So I can't
yeah.
stream when she's working, right? So like I'm in a very
Yeah.
cold basement right now, even though it's probably 90 degrees outside.
Dude, that sounds lovely. Like
It's-
the UK
it's
doesn't
great.
really do basements. There's no real basements in many UK houses. They do exist, obviously, but they are
Yeah,
very
it's not as
uncommon.
big a thing.
I would love to be in a basement because this is just. I'm in
So-
a hot box right now, and not the fun kind.
There you go. I'll show you. We bought this house last year, and it was fixed up, and we were like, "Oh, this is so great!" Like, and a renovator did it. But like, if you look at my basement here, we found out that
Oh, yeah.
water leaks into it, so we actually had to
no.
like have 2 feet cut out of our entire thing. So that's why like my
Damn.
background is literally just a white wall because I haven't been able to do my basement. I have to put in
Yeah.
a $12,000 French drain, and who the fuck has
Oh, no.
$12,000?
Not me.
Exactly.
Oh
So
god damn,
until
that's
then-
brutal. I didn't think about the potential of water leakage and all the damage moisture can bring to
It's
any sort of
awful.
room.
It's-
Mold.
it's-
I mean,
it's
you've got to
terrible.
be careful.
Well, that's what we had
yeah.
a mold remediation. They like lock this up like ET, right? Like those plastic dividers and the zippers and everything. And they're like, do not go down there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
what a
it's
pain.
nice because it's cooler, especially in the summer. But it's a double-edged sword when you're like, oh, I can't even really
Yeah.
use it outside of everything on a fold-out table.
And
that
I
can put everything on.
imagine you probably have to hardwire everything there, right? Like Ethernet cables and everything. Does
No.
it impact like
Our,
3G on I say 3G Wi-Fi and stuff
My
like that?
Wi-Fi, I was worried about that. My Wi-Fi actually does hit down here pretty nicely,
Oh,
so I
cool.
don't have to worry
Nice.
about that
Yeah.
too much.
I would have thought like all of the earth around it and the thick walls might impact it, but
It's
I guess
probably
not.
because the roof or the ceiling
Yeah.
over here is probably shit. It's
Yeah, your
it's
sofa's
crap.
going to come straight down in the middle of the stream one day. You're like, oh, hi,
well,
dear.
That sucks. Hey, let's start raising money for me to fix my house and my wife's hospital bills.
Tell me about it.
That's
Yeah, for sure. I've always wanted to have like a man cave, as it were. But the older you get, you realize actually that's a lot of upfront cost,
Yes.
and you have to then argue with the other half and saying, I really do need this dedicated space. I don't care if we need children.
I make
Where am I going to put the pool
dozens-
table? Damn it!
I make dozens of dollars. I need to outfit this.
Yeah, I literally make dozens of dollars. So, I think my needs and the needs of the household warrant
This
room.
decking
Yeah.
out this space.
Yeah.
Our basement is like an L
20%
shape.
of our real estate.
Our basement is an L shape, so I would like to
Mm-hmm.
cut off this little piece, and it's probably like an 8x8 section. And that would be nice. But
Good.
you're right. Like as we get older, like I don't play games anywhere near as much as I used to. The last
Mm.
time I saw my friends was probably 6 weeks ago because
Yeah.
everybody's busy and everybody has kids and everybody has this. So like, what do I really need those things for?
Yeah, for real. No, I get that completely. Like, I remember being a kid and you see your friends every single day, right? And now I'm like, I have my friend. I see him once a month.
Yeah. I text with my friend daily. Sometimes
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
if I remember.
Sometimes I text. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Like your priorities definitely shift. I'm with you there on the gaming. Like I used to be such an avid gamer, and I still am such an avid gamer, but I don't have the time to sit down and play a game. You know, like I game when I stream. Pretty much, that's
Yeah.
the only time I get to game, or if I'm recording content. So basically, all my gaming is Galaxy of Heroes related and Age of Origins related. Um, but you know, that's a sponsored game cover, so um, there's only so much I can say about that.
But now, so that leads me into, I guess, I found not necessarily the games I play just because of time itself, but because of my time itself, the games that I'm interested in are different, right? So when I was 16, when I was like 12 to 16, I grew up in the age of like Squaresoft, right? So like Final Fantasy
Oh,
and
hell, fucking yeah.
huge epic like stories and cinematics, and like you're playing the same character for 90 hours, and I
Yeah.
loved it. And now it's not even that I don't have time, but because I don't have time, I don't have patience for it. If I
Yeah.
see a cinematic in a game, I'm like, fuck you, I have a half hour to play this game, let's go, like let me skip this, I don't give a shit about the story. Have you
Yeah.
found that your taste in games when you do get to play has changed at all?
It's hard because I grew up with the same sort of enjoyment of games. Like I've always been an RPG kind of guy. You know, like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Like they encapsulated a large part of my childhood. It wasn't so much first person shooters, though. I did play a lot of Counter Strike with my dad in particular. At 1.6, I used to love doing that. Also played a lot of games like Metal Gear Solid, and those were some of my favorite. But it's like you say, Metal Gear Solid, that game, any of those game series, it's like 3 hours is the game, and
Yeah,
then 12 hours is cutscenes and codec transmissions, right?
I don't
And
have
I do
time.
find myself just being like, can I get through? But also, if I'm playing that sort of game where it's just action, it's just action, there's no real context, I don't find myself invested in it so much. I'm just like, why do I care what I'm doing? Like, what's my motivation for doing this? I need to have something compelling to let me play a game. So
Okay.
I bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I pre-ordered that game. I haven't played it. I haven't even beaten Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've had that since release. Like I want to, but it's like you said, I don't have 100 hours to sit down and play a game these days.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. You know, I used to have multiple saves on Final Fantasy VIII, over 100 hours, and I used to love that. I used to love that, and I would love to love it now. But now I know if I'm going to play something like that, it's going to take me months to get
Yeah.
one playthrough, and I'm going to forget what happened at the start of the game compared to what happened at the end of the game. Like I've got okay, Mando's covering it right now, but there's a PS5 box there with God of War, the God of War
Yeah.
Ragnarok
Yeah.
game. That's a short game. I still haven't finished God of War Ragnarok. Like, and I was so excited to play it because those are the games to me that I really love a game that's got a compelling story behind it, something that's got effort into it. You know, games like Uncharted and God of War and stuff
See,
like
and
that.
I
And
love
Final
those too.
Fantasy
Like
games.
Uncharted, loved Uncharted. I
Yeah,
don't know if I'd be able to play the next one.
if they even make a
If
next
they
one.
if they made one, I don't know if I'd be able to even play it. What I did like, and I was not a super fan of The Witcher, but
Yeah.
I did play the third one during COVID, and what I
Hmm.
really appreciated is that the way that they allowed you to skip cutscenes was less you
Yeah,
skip
love
the
it.
whole cutscene, right? And you can skip the text and it'll move to the next set of text.
Yeah,
Because I can read faster than I can see. So I'd be like, all right, I got that skip. All right, I got that skip. I got that skip. So that 10
yeah,
minute cutscene was now a minute, and I could watch the story, and I
yeah,
knew what the hell was going on, but
yeah,
I didn't have to spend 45 minutes of my hour of playtime
yeah.
watching, my game.
Unskippable cutscenes are annoying. It's kind of the problem with Elden Ring, to be honest. Not that Elden Ring has got loads of really long cutscenes. It's got quite short cutscenes overall, especially with like boss intros and stuff like that. The problem with Elden Ring, I'm not a great gamer, so I die a lot, and I get so frustrated. I'm going through a boss wall, and the boss is like, "Fellow tarnished," and you're like, "Jesus Christ, move it on, guys!
I've
Come on,
seen
this is my
this.
17th time dying to you."
We got this. And there are
It's like I get
games.
it.
that'll remember that, right? And they'll be like, all right, this is your
Yeah.
second time. Like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
My relationship with Elden Ring is that I hate Souls games because I'm not a good gamer. Like, I'm awful at
Yeah.
them and I don't have the fucking time for them. And I've told this story before, but I have a friend who he hates clowns, so I send him like Funko Pops, like Pennywise, and he knows
Because you're
I
a
hate
good friend.
Souls. Exactly, and he knows that I hate Elden Ring. So for my birthday 2 years ago, he bought me Elden Ring, thinking I'd throw it in the trash and be pissed.
Yeah.
And I just it was like the end of the summer. I just happened to have time, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you. And I sat down. I 100%ed that game, and it was just like
Nice.
full spite, full hate. Like
Yeah.
I hate every fucking minute of this, but I cannot wait to like send you a picture of that 100% trophy and just like my middle finger there, just to piss you off.
Yeah. Yeah. Pride is an interesting emotion.
It gets you. It does. It does.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is a fantastic game, though. I actually really do appreciate a lot of the Dark Souls games. I think there's loads of people, and this is an unpopular decision or opinion. I think a lot of people have placed too much emphasis on supposedly the lore of Dark Souls games and Soulsborne's game, and I'm like, it's just fucking lazy narrative.
Yeah.
Unless you start reading like the description on every random piece of equipment, there is no story to Dark Souls and Elden Ring. You're just in a universe where everybody's kind of fucked up. You don't care about the motivations of the character at all because you don't matter.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that you're just killing everybody. And everybody who says it's got a good story is just fucking lying.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I mean,
it doesn't have a story.
You're right, because you come into the game and you don't know shit. And their way of storytelling is like find these random things in random places, and we're not going to we're going to give you zero hints on where to go. So like, you're just like dropped into this world and like good luck, right? If I want to be engrossed in the story, you need to engross me in the story right away. And if I'm just dropped into a world, I've already kind of rationalized to the fact that like, all right, there's no story. We're just playing. This is fine.
Yeah.
And then you tell me story later, and I don't care.
Yeah, and I'm again. I hold firm. I think that Elden Ring and Dark Souls games, they are very well made games. They are enjoyable. They are frustrating. It's just I don't particularly like the narrative approach. I personally think it's a lazy way of writing a game. All you're doing is you're doing the gameplay. You've made the gameplay loop very enjoyable, very well refined. Everything else is basically minimal effort. Like, it looks gorgeous. There are some really beautiful vistas there. Like, the environments are incredible. It's just the story just is basically not there at all. And that kind of irks me, but not enough to make me not want to play. So
you're gonna get a lot of
it's
hate
interesting. Oh, I'm gonna get so much hate mail. They're like, "Fuck you, Scrybe. You don't know shit."
Elden Ring is great. Oh, hey, kitty.
Oh,
you've got like tape stuck to you. That's fine. We'll figure that out later. So I told you we do about an hour. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I have other commitments as well, but I have a final point. While I was watching a lot of your stuff today, and again, when I've watched things in the past, it's always been on mute just because I'm sitting in bed and I don't want to piss off my wife. I noticed you sign off all of your videos with "peace out." And that kind of pisses me off because that's what I do.
Oh, damn it. I'll have to change it.
I mean, I know you've been doing this longer than me, but I feel like you're already established, so we got to figure this thing out. Like,
got to figure it out.
Like, do I have to change it? Are we going to both change it? Like, what? I heard it for the first time yesterday. No, 3 days ago, actually. And I was like, this motherfucker, like, what the fuck? Like, I thought that was my thing.
So I do say peace out, but on all of my Galaxy of Heroes videos, I say may the force be with you. So I say peace out and may the force be with you. And then all of my other content, I say peace out and big love. So, like, I mean, you can still technically claim peace out as a sign-off.
You're
it's
agreeing
just half of my sign-off.
That your own thing is extended.
It is.
So
it
we're
is.
good.
It's like it's the intro to my outro, if you get my drift.
Okay. I mean, I'll take that to some extent. I don't know. I'll have to workshop it. Maybe I'll go to Chat GPT and be like, hey, give me a quick snazzy thing, and we'll try a new one out of it.
How can I take down Scrybe Gaming?
What the fuck? I'm actually
They'll
gonna
be like, all my information is from 2018. I can't help you with Scrybe Gaming.
Once I hit stop and I start compiling this, I'm gonna add a little intro that says, "Hey guys, this is a highly edited video. I had to cut out like 20 minutes. Scrybe went on this like racist rant, and it just wasn't appropriate. He was saying some things that were like not kosher right now, and I wanted to not subject you to that. And
He
I'll
said
never
you all
release
had
it."
small dicks.
Yeah, it's that
God
cock
damn.
math. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would probably work to some extent. I've had my own fair share of haters across various platforms. Usually they're not too. I don't think that their heart is really in the hate. You know what I mean?
I have a few that are, their heart is really in it, and it's
Yeah, but
okay.
that's because you were predominantly a Reddit guy. You
Yes, that's
that
true.
was your home, and we all know that Reddit
Is
is the
toxic.
real hive of scum and villainy. It's like
It's like Mos
people out
Eisley.
there have got a bone to pick.
Oh, it's fucking terrible. But sometimes
It's a
I'll
good
wake
reason I
up.
don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll just be like, "Did you really write that? Like, is that
Yeah.
a real opinion that you have?"
There's a good reason why I don't often link a lot of my content on Reddit,
Yeah.
and that's because I don't think I could take it. There's only so much abuse I can take.
You
Because
have to have thick skin. You really do. You
You, you
really.
you really do on Reddit. Like I get some of it in YouTube comments and some of it in my Discord and stuff like that, and some of it when I have, for some reason, an unhealthy urge to maybe search my name in other Discord people's to see what people are saying about me. And there's no
You never win.
universe without me as well.
No.
Like sometimes you'll see something like, "Oh yeah, I love Scribe," and other people are like, "I think Scribe's a dickhead and I can't understand a word that comes out of his mouth," and I'm just like, "Why
When
did
you
I
get
do it?"
those "I love Scribe," you never jump to message, because once you get that, that's when you get like right under there. Like, he's a piece of shit. Like, he's
Yeah,
this
it's
and
it's
jackass.
I love Scribe, but
Yes,
you're like,
that's
shit. So
that's
yeah, no,
literally my life. So I'll leave you with the last word here,
sure.
before we head out for the day. I do appreciate your time. I know time zones, it does get crazy sometimes doing a collaboration with people that are
Yeah.
5 hours away from you. So I
Hmm.
appreciate it. I'm sure whoever else, the 5 people that watch this, they appreciate it as well. I'm gonna give it to you, and then we're gonna drop right out.
Okay. I don't know what to say. Hey, what I will say is this has been really cool. I enjoy having a chat with people just about life. It doesn't have to be about Swigger, obviously. You know, sitting down and having a chat with other people that are part of this community has always been a fun thing. And I'm not like some massive content creator, like, fucking some bigwig out there that really doesn't have any sort of time. But anybody that ever wants to approach me about anything, it doesn't matter if you're a content creator or not, please just slide into Discord, send a message and stuff like that. I'm usually available to have a chat. And I'm glad I came on here today. So I guess thanks, Egnard. Thanks.
So we could say what? Peace out, and may the force be with you.
I mean, peace out, may the force be with you. Yeah.